after it's done, I'm just going to admit these people here. Cool. And then I'm going to get rid of this and start sharing my screen. Da, 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 da. Cool. Okay. Hopefully everyone can see my screen. I have had a few problems with my audio while we've been doing Teams meetings. So if anyone does have any issues, please feel free just to either put it in the chat or please do shout out. And if you do have any questions during this, please feel free to raise your hand or do shout out. That's totally fine. But hello to everyone. It's really great to sort of be on this call today and start thinking about L6. So as it says there, this is an introduction. And actually, I think one thing for me to linger on, and I was really proud to do this, is the typeface that an introduction has been rendered in was done by Will Agate, who is in this year's level 6 cohort in one of his projects. So if you can at some point next year, maybe if you do a type project, your typeface might be included in one of my presentations next year. But just the starting point, I suppose, is an introduction and a hello. So I am Amir Stani. I am the level 6 year lead. Hopefully I've been here long enough now that you're not kind of who the hell is this person. But hopefully you've all come across me in your time at Kingston. But if not, hello, here I am. And the level 6 team, I'm joined in the level 6 team by Marcus Lealion and Quetzal Mauchi, Linda Byrne, Joe Sharp, and I think I haven't forgotten anyone else. But again, we have alongside a great HBL team, so we're really excited and looking forward to getting to work with you this year. So the first bit I want to talk through is kind of the ethos of level 6. Like level 6 really starts now, and I think it's really important that in terms of your understanding about level 6 or your understanding about education, it's almost like forget everything you may or may not think you know about your learning. It's a not necessarily a reappraisal, but a reimagining of maybe where you've been so far and kind of a space in which we're trying to push you forward from. And so a key part of that level 6 experience, and at the heart of it and the ethos of it, is autonomy. You'll learn over the next year that I'm a lover of etymology and breaking words down. And the word autonomous comes from the Greek autos and nomos, which means self-law. And so level 6 is really about creating the laws for yourselves, the conditions of work which are helpful in creating methodologies in you understanding your position of your work and how you engage with it. So autonomy is at the heart of level 6, creating and finding a path that we will guide you on and help you with, but creating and finding a path that is supportive of your own development, finding a space for you, creating the self laws that help you understand your practice and your process. And on the right-hand side there, you can see Sister Karita Kent's rules, art department rules for the Immaculate Heart College, again, as an idea around creating rules, creating context in which we understand our work. And then alongside that kind of key ethos of level 6, which is around autonomy, and again, I think you'll learn about this more when you get into the September, and that autonomy is at the heart of everything. We're really keen on giving you the keys to make your education work for you. This is for you. But that autonomy is underpinned by kind of 5 key elements that you can see here. And I'm going to go into them in just a sort of a rough way. And those key elements are part of creating a rich, exciting, diverse studio culture. One in which, there we go, they've been admitted, that's great. One in which you are supporting each other. And so what I wanted to include, and I haven't done this before, but I thought it was really lovely and gives you a bit of excitement for level 6, is just a few images from my time in Kingston, the level 6 experience of working with students. So in there is, workshops, presentations, reviews, setting up the show. And so without these sort of this ethos and these elements to be beholden to, this doesn't happen. And so hopefully these elements shape and celebrate how we engage in level 6 and create this rich tapestry, as you can see here. The first one is collaborative. So the first element is collaborative. Design is not an island. Bear with my notes. Design isn't an island. And one thing in my mind, and I'm really keen on this, is the one thing that will stop, or not necessarily one thing, but one thing that will stop the maybe onslaught of AI is our ability to form communities and connections, to use the diverse voices that surround us to push and develop our work. And so the example I have on the screen right now of collaboration is Robert Rauschenberg, Merce Cunningham, and John Cage, who worked together at the Black Mountain College in America. They came from incredibly different, diverse practices, from dance to music to set design to design. But within their collaborations and within their conversations, they created the new. They re-understood their practices in collaboration with each other, and without their conversations, without their collaborations, their work would not get to the spaces that it did. So collaboration is a really key part of level 6. Collaboration doesn't necessarily just mean doing a project together. That means, and I hope you guys are all familiar with this, but it doesn't necessarily mean just doing a project. It also means engaging in tutorials, engaging in peer reviews, engaging in the studio culture of supporting and sharing with your peers. Obviously, the staff team are an important part of that collaboration, but so are you as a group of students and collaborators. The second element or ethos is proactive. So, level 6 and your experience as a whole is not, the experience isn't for us as tutors. And don't rely on us as oracles. Take in what we say, review, reflect, and ultimately, if you see fit, enact it. But the most important thing in being proactive is about engaging in things that you want to do. Don't wait to be asked. Don't wait to ask to do something. Just do it. That might be engaging in workshops. That might be engaging in a new element that you might see in your project. Okay, I really want to try this, but I want to get permission from Amir. You don't need to ask permission. It's about being proactive and engaged in your own learning, finding your own way through. And again, it's really important in this idea of autonomy. This space is for you, and that being proactive is going to help in shaping a space that works for you. That proactivity also works with us as staff. If you want to do things and you feel like they need to happen, again, I'm happy to have those conversations, but it takes an element of proactivity. So level 6 is proactive. We're engaging in things in a way that is, we want them to happen, okay? Explorative, that's our next bit. And so studying design at university, in my mind, is about uncovering the new, innovating. And going back to that earlier slide around collaboration, innovation is also an incredibly important part of what we do. Studying design is about testing the boundaries, and we innovate by exploring those boundaries. So our practice survives only by what we know to be true. And so that means if we only exist in the space which we know to be true, our practice will never evolve. Being explorative expands those boundaries. It asks questions of what we're trying to do. Okay, if I'm making a book, does a book have to be the way in which we understand it now, or can it be reimagined? A really great example of a project this year that actually touches on this idea of form being explorative is by Bom Lee, who explored what form do footnotes take, and how do you explore that? And so we expect you to be explorers, challenging the known canon of design. We want you to test the boundaries of what you understand, and that is celebrated. It's never punished. It's always celebrated in what we do. Without sort of being explorative, we wouldn't have developed a graphic practice as we know today, and that can be exampled in the image that I have on the screen about a Dutch printing office. If we didn't expand our understanding of technical processes, we'd never have movable type, and we'd never again get to the space now in which we have experience of a digital type per se, possibly. But it's through that experimentation and being explorative, of trying, that we expanded our understanding of the world around us. Cool. Reflective. We want you to use your brain. Now, that's an obvious thing within education. That's part of this. But we also want you to be critical, and that's not critical in the sense of the negative connotations of criticality. I don't like something. Criticality can also be a sense of reflection, again. So be critical of us as staff, of the discipline, of yourself, but be inquiring, explorative, ask questions. Critical reflection is a key part of level 6. And those who master it are the ones whose practice develops the most. They exponentially grow. And as I say, criticality doesn't mean being mean. It means reflecting. It means going, I did that thing, but maybe it's wrong. But maybe it's because that's too soft, or the materiality of the thing isn't right. Actually, this should have been a typographic project rather than an iconography project. It's being reflective of why you're making the decisions you are. And again, that idea of reflection is exemplified by, the image I have on the screen, which is a diagram from Designer's Art by Bruno Minari, which talks around the visual understanding of street signs. So why are street signs and road signs the way they are? Why are they not decorative sort of French 1700 sort of portraiture? Why do things look the way they are? An important part of level 6 is looking at the world around you, looking at your work, and critically reflecting on why you have made those decisions, or why the world is the way it is. And by understanding those reflections, then we can be explorative to create the new, right? And then the last bit is confident. And again, I'm a real big advocacy of confidence, and that's not about confidence for confidence sake. Confidence is a really difficult thing, but you are all in you're all in level 6, and you've all made it here, and you're at one of the best graphic design courses in the country. And so there is an element of having confidence in your ability, not only within the discipline, but also in understanding what you want to do. Confidence isn't about knowing everything. It's about going, I'm going to try and be there and see what happens. So, as I said, confident is the belief and conviction in yourself, the ability to not be afraid to be wrong, and the ability just to try and not be stuck in not doing anything. You can only learn by making mistakes, and you can only make mistakes if you have the confidence and strength in knowing that you can make that mistake, but also knowing that you're good enough to make the mistake. And I can tell you that you 100% are. So confidence is a really key part in level 6 of just being able to try. It's not about confidence in a dogmatic, okay, yeah, I'm really great at what I do, but it's a confidence in the ability to go, I'm going to see what happens. Okay. So that's the kind of 5 key ethoses or elements of level 6 that I think are important to our understanding of pedagogy and how we would like you to approach the year. So I'm quickly now going to go through sort of a few very brief structural bits just to give you an insight into level 6. And you don't need to worry about this information too much. I'm going to share it again in September, but I think it gives a good insight into where we're going. So level 6 is 4 modules. That's GD6001, GD6004, HA6104, and AX6001. And this is the sort of graphical representation of that. So what I'm going to do is just go through quickly how that then breaks up. So and what that means by projects. So in GD6001, you will do your Strand Studio. That is one singular project. Again, hopefully you're all familiar with Strand from your experiences in L5. GD6004 is a much bigger module. It's 60 credits, so that's double the Strand Studio space. And within that, we ask you to do 3 practice projects. And again, I'll give you more insight into that in the new year. But basically, that's a range of projects which you're able to advocate for and select which projects you might like to do. So that's 3 practice projects. And then alongside that, you'll do 1 future publishing project, which is the dissemination of your IRP. So that sits within GD6004. You will do HA6104, which is your independent research project. Again, hopefully you're familiar with that from your time in L5 in constructing a question for that space. And so you will undertake your CHS module, which is your independent research project, engaging in a space of research that you are interested in. And then the last module is the apply module, in which you will be asked to produce a reflective report exploring your experiences of the future skills, of the Kingston Future Skills within your time at Kingston. And so that's the four spaces you will be in. You will end up with 5 studio projects and then 2 other elements on the side, so your IRP and your apply. That is what it kind of looks like as a visual. You know, it's kind of devoid from anything, but it's important not to think about the year in isolation. So you might think of it as these 4 separate elements. And in an academic way, yes, it is marked in that way. However, the level 6 experience is additive, it's explorative. Utilize what you do in every element of the course as lenses through other spaces. It's important not to think about this experience as siloed, but as one rich additive body of work in which you are developing in your time in L6. And those bodies of work which aren't necessarily singular and only focus on one space, but they have a confidence in going, I know what I want to explore and how I want to explore it, and they subtly embed that through what they do, are the ones that benefit the most. So try not to think about it as individual elements, but as this sort of gradient here, a thing that is melding into each other and being used as a lens through each other, a rich tapestry of exploration and study. Cool. And then just, I know there's then practicalities of a year. So this is just a rough schedule of a week. On a Monday, usually it is a strand. On a Tuesday, we have expanded practice. So that could be peer group tutorials, that could be workshops, that could be self-directed study. On Wednesday is non-scheduled self-directed study. So again, that is a space if you are looking to work, that is a space in which that can happen. But again, we expect you to be engaging. It's a full-time course, so we expect you to engage as much as you can. But Wednesday is a space where there's no scheduled activities, or usually is no scheduled activities. Thursday is practice projects. And then Friday in teaching block 1 is your IRP. In teaching block 2, it will again go to self-directed study. Sessions, as you can see here by my little timetable, run from around about 10, half 10 till 4 most days. But some days we might require you at 9. Some days we might run sessions on till 6. But this gives you a kind of rough schedule of the week, how it kind of lays out and lays down, okay? And then from the sort of micro to the macro, whichever way around, macro to micro. So we're taking a much broader view of the year. I think it's really important to give you an oversight of how the year might look. So this is a graphical representation of the year. Don't worry, I'll go into the dates. I think it's really important that it's not, I think you're really important. It is really important that you are around and present during the teaching time of the year. And this is a graphical representation of that time. This is when we expect you to be around. What that looks like in practical terms is teaching block 1 runs from the 28th of September to the 18th of December. Teaching block 2 runs from the 11th of January to the 25th of March. And then we want you to be around, and you should be around for shows and assessment between the 12th of April, and there will be some teaching actually that week just of how the year finishes, or the way the year lands on the timetable. But we want you to be around from the 12th of April up until the 28th of June next year. Again, not just to take part in assessment, but also to take part in the setup for the shows and the development of work that goes into that. Cool. Now this is a lot of type on this page, I realise, but I will send these slides off to you afterwards. But over the summer, there are a few things that we would really like you or expect you to undertake. So the first of which is go to exhibitions. So the External Degree Show, which hopefully I think Tom has spoken to you about this morning, but I'll just reiterate. The External Degree Show is happening between the 2nd and the 5th, this week at Copeland Gallery in Peckham. Again, I think it's really important that as a community, we show up for each other and support each other and in one level, but also it's a really important space just to see how things have gone before you and how you understand your position within the course. So do, if you have the capacity to, come to that show between the 2nd and 5th at Copeland in Peckham. There are other exhibitions beyond that. So the Royal College of Art have their show between the 3rd and the 5th of July. That's in their campus in White City. And again, further beyond that, we're really lucky that we're on the doorstep of London. Please make the most of the galleries there, whether that be the Hayward, the Barbican, the Tate, smaller independent spaces. There are also, as far as I'm aware, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, galleries all over the UK and Europe. So even if you're going on holiday, you can go and engage in exhibitions and understand, engage in a broader understanding of your practice and the world around you. And curatorial practice will become an important part of Level 6. So use exhibitions as an opportunity to not just look at the work itself, but how it's presented. How are people engaging in understanding how they take their work from the self, but to a community, right? So go to exhibitions, be explorative, look around you. The second bit is a following on from that and is immerse yourself in culture. Culture isn't a monolithic thing. It means different things to different people. So go to museums, of course, but don't stop there. Read books, go for walks, visit new places, listen to music. You can attend the proms, for example. Like, that's something that I never thought would be for me, but I love going there and experiencing like a new space. Cook, play video games, watch films, whatever you perceive as culture. But and really important, the reason why I'm telling you guys to do this, or we're telling you guys to do this, is your practice is shaped as much by your wider experience as it is by graphic design. So spend time expanding your interests or understanding your interests, thinking about who you are, what excites you, and what kind of practitioner you want to become. The third bit is learn the skills you need. So Level 6 is not about technical instruction. We won't spend a crazy amount of time or much time dedicating teaching sessions, particularly on software like After Effects, InDesign, Illustrator. It's really important. The incumbency is on you really to think about what skills you want to come into Level 6 and develop. That's not to say you have to come in on first day of Level 6 and be an After Effects wizard. That's definitely not the context I'm getting at, but it's very much about identifying what you want to know, how you want to know it, and how you can come into L6 with a sort of head start, going, okay, I'm going to explore this space and I know how I want to do it. And that again goes back to that idea about confidence, being confident that you can engage in Level 6 and go, I can do this and I know how to do it. LinkedIn Learning, just as an aside, is a really great resource. I know it might feel a bit institutional, but actually has some really great tutorials if you want to get started in certain things like After Effects or Illustrator and then expand your learning out. But again, learning by doing is a really important thing to do. So again, in your time off, you obviously want to relax, but test yourself, play around with things, be creative as in your time out. Then the next bit is get organized. So part of Level 6, that autonomy is about managing your own time and being an advocate for your own time. So another part of that is about professionalization. And so what we would like you guys to do, and again, think about, is setting up folders in your email, organizing your bookmarks, establish a reliable system for backing up your work, and begin to start collecting references, things that interest you. You might buy a diary or calendar, you might get your notebooks, but just develop professional habits, ways of organizing yourself that mean that your understanding of practice and your ability to commit to the joy of doing is there, right? So the more, as it says there, the more organized you are, the more time you'll have to focus on your ideas. Maybe that's not true, but that's how I perceive it to be. The next bit is complete the summer project. So I'll introduce that shortly, but it connects directly to many of the ideas in this presentation. And the summer project really is that kind of beginning of Level 6. And so I'd really advise you to see it as something not to rush through. Don't do it at the end of September, like a few days before. Spend time over the summer thinking about what this summer project might mean to you and how you can use it as a really good tool to understand your practice and then again understand where you maybe want to go in Level 6. And then the final bit is just relax. This sounds like a lot of stuff, but I think it's really important that we give time to ourselves to rest and recuperate and enjoy ourselves before the hard work of level 6 truly does begin. So take some time to yourself, enjoy the break, and then come back refreshed and ready to go in the end of September. Cool. Okay, so the summer project brief. So what we would like you guys to do for the summer project brief is create a practice PetraKucha presentation that, as I said, introduce your practice. What we want is to be able to understand who you are as a designer, what shapes your thinking, and how you position yourself as a graphic designer. And so I'm going to read this just a bit more detail just to clarify it. So obviously in your time at Kingston, you've been developing more than a portfolio. You've been exploring who you are as a practitioner, and that space is kind of crystallizing. It doesn't have to be finalized, but it's crystallizing and coming to fruition. And so what we want to understand is how you work and that position you occupy in graphic design. So for those who are not familiar, a PetraKucha presentation is a 20-slide presentation in which each slide is displayed for 20 seconds. I'll share advice on how to set these up, but basically it's a methodology in which you have the slides on the screen and they move automatically. So the really important thing is, again, you creating a narrative. And again, as I say, within that presentation, we want to understand who you are, where you are coming from, and where you want to go. And so that doesn't necessarily mean documenting a life story. Like, I don't care about, I was born in Basingstoke on the 12th of June, 1995. That is not what this is about, but actually understanding what goes beyond that, what is underneath the hood, as they say, that makes you who you are and your practice. What has influenced the decisions you've made, how you've engaged in practice, how do you understand your understanding of graphic design, what has shaped your creative identity and outlook. What you choose to include in the presentation is up to you. You might include work from L4 and L5, but again, I critically reflect on why you're including that work and reflect on what that work means to you going into level 6. You might include work of other practitioners, and you should probably include work of other practitioners that inspire you and that are giving you insight into your understanding of practice. And as it says there, it should draw from the things that have shaped your development of practice. You might include books, films, places, visits you've done. It also might include work that you actively disagree or dislike. But again, there has to be a critical lens on that. It might be like, I don't like the work of Pentagram because I don't agree with their position within this space. But again, critical reflection on how people have engaged with the work and how that shapes your understanding of self is really important. The aim of the presentation is not to tell us everything about yourself, but to offer a real insight into who you are, what your interests are, and the decisions that have shaped your work. And again, these presentations don't just happen in isolation. Marcus Quetzal and I and the broader staff team will sit in on those presentations, and those presentations will inform, again, a beginning understanding of who you are. Again, that's not to say that our understanding of you might not evolve, but it's that first sort of understanding of you, our first sort of notion of who you are, and that will shape, certain, not broad decisions, but that'll shape our understanding of you and maybe some of our initial decisions around in the year. So it's a really important thing to sort of, not necessarily, it's not about there's no right or wrong, but it's a really important thing to sort of really think about, create a narrative and start thinking about who you are. That is what level 6 is about, thinking about what your position and practice is. So the deadline for this is now, I'm just double checking, I have put the right date, that's fine. The deadline for this is the 28th of September, obviously. So what we would like you guys to do is submit all your presentations to a OneDrive by 10 a.m. on the 20th of September, and I will share a folder for that and then a space in which you can book a presentation slot at a later point. Any kind of broad questions you have or any questions you have, I'm very happy to field. My email is on the right hand side there. And then just sort of a secondary bit to this, and I just really wanted to, it's again as a structure maybe that is useful to go on. As it says there are no right or wrong ways to approach this, and the only requirement that we want of you is that your first slide is your name. However, you may wish to consider including some of the following. So that might be graphic design texts that have informed your practice, literary texts that have influenced or excited you, cultural experiences, exhibitions, festivals, films, music that inspires your work or mindset. So, that might be 3 key pieces of music that really sort of influenced your understanding of graphic design or really help your understanding of self. Notable conversations with strangers that have stayed with you. That could be with strangers or, that could be conversations you've had with staff or friends or family. Conversations that have stayed with you. You could include your IRP title. You could include words that describe your practice or words that articulate your positions, interests, or concerns. You can include practitioners, career aspirations. You could also include things that you value in your practice that you also feel that might be overlooked or dismissed. And there may be things that you might recognize as barriers to your progression that you maybe want to address, or strengths that you already have that you might want to develop further. But again, this isn't a tool. This is a tool for both you to kind of position yourselves and understand who you are, but also for us as staff to really get to know you and really help understand the context into which you're arriving in L6. And so actually the bit I've missed just at the beginning. So you will submit those presentations, and then on the first week of term, you will present those presentations in small groups to the year. So again, that's about the presentation slots. So the Pecha Kuchas are a really great space for learning about your peers. Some of you have gone on Erasmus, some of you have done study abroad, some of you are directly entering from L5. So your year group is a diverse mix of people. And so the Pecha Kuchas, and again, attending those Pecha Kuchas, are a really great way to start to understand, one, about yourself, but also the cohort that you're engaging in, and going, oh, okay, that's really fascinating that this person is also exploring work in a similar way to me. Maybe we can collaborate, or maybe we can have conversations about people we're interested in. Going back to my original bit, design is not an island. So the Pecha Kuchas are a space in which, yes, presenting is difficult, but they're a space in which you're opening up to your group and sharing, and hopefully you will be given back from that, and again, understand a broader sense of your year group. And so the last bit I'm going to sort of close out on is a little photo of Lake Eden by Annie Albers, which was taken in 1946, which I think is just a beautiful image of people just sort of relaxing in a lake. And I think that's a really important thing to sort of end on today, is relax. Enjoy your summer, enjoy the time you have to yourself, enjoy spending time with friends and family, and be ready. And we look forward to being ready and raring to go on the 29th of September. And I look forward to seeing you guys all there, ready and raring to go. Cool. I'm now going to stop sharing my screen. Does anyone have any questions that they would like to ask? If there's anything unclear that may have come from that, any concerns, questions, provocations, anything that you might have for me? Yes, I will say that. And then also in the summer, it's really important. Sorry, just another bit, been past the insightful bit of information on the side, is make sure that over the summer you're thinking about and working upon your CHS. As I'm sure many of you are aware, the module rating for that is now different, and so the timing is different, but make sure you give time to thinking about that over the summer and to give yourself the best possible position to engage in that work and succeed in that. But yes, the summer should be a space in which you're working on your CHS as well and thinking about that. Cool. Any questions? I'm happy for people to put them in the chat if they don't want to shout out, but I'm also happy for people to shout out. Hopefully then that means I was immensely clear. I'll give everyone a few more minutes. Okay, well, I don't know if Tom, if there's anything you want to add? You don't have to.
No, I don't really. I just think it'd be nice if anyone had anything they wanted to, maybe just get a sense if anyone wanted to put on their cameras, you could come on and just say hi. Perhaps tell us if anyone's planning on going to the show. It'd be lovely to hear, even if it's just a thumbs up in relation to going to the show.
If you're coming to the show, please raise your hand or put your cameras on, just to see if you're.
Or if you're not able to make it, say you're not able to make it. Just be good to.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Have got some questions.
Yeah.
Oh,
great.
I'm going to need a cue.
Oh no, okay. I think these are people. These are people who are coming to the show.
Yes,
yeah. Great.
Right, okay.
Oh, great, amazing, brilliant.
So that's my.
No, it's fine.
Not distinguishing between a hands up
No,
and a
it's
thumbs
fine.
up, which is totally different digital things, isn't it? Anyway,
Okay.
Thank you, though.
No, thanks, guys. Cool. Okay. Well, thank you for today. As I said, I've recorded this. I will send the recording around, and I will send the presentation slides around. Very happy to answer any questions people have over email. Please also, if you're in London, please feel free. I will be around in Kingston for a certain amount of time. Who knows what that might be like. But also I'll be at the show, so please do come say hello. Like, we're very happy to have a conversation. And just to echo what Marcus has put in the chat, I'm really excited to, and we are all really excited to work with you guys and see what work appears from it. I mean, again, just as an anecdote, this year has been a brilliant year, and they've produced some amazing work. And so I'm really excited to see how you guys sort of rise to that and produce equally amazing work as well. But again, thank you so much for taking the time today. And as I say, if you have any questions, please let me know. But otherwise, thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you.
No worries.